Hi everyone. So here's a great lesson for you. This is lesson 139 in our workbook. I will accept the one for myself. And he says, here's the end of choice. For here we come to a decision. Again, it's a decision, right? To accept ourselves as God created us. Of course, accepting the one for yourself is a decision, right? And what he's going to say is that every question that you have, every doubt that you have, every conflict that you experience is simply a reflection of the one question, what am I? Right? The human condition is the condition of answering the riddle of its existence. Right? It tries to answer the question, what am I? Through its religions, through its science, right? And the question itself is what the problem is, because how could you not know what you are? Everything in the universe knows what it is, except what? The human condition. Right? It's a condition of not knowing what you are, and that's impossible. It's an impossible condition. You know perfectly well what you are, but having denied your own identity, you now find yourself in a condition of not knowing who you are. If that makes any sense. So this is what this lesson is trying to tell you. How do you remedy that condition? How do you get out of not knowing who you are? You accept the moment for yourself, right? The way he expresses it, and it's beautiful, he says, what is choice except uncertainty of what you are? There is no doubt that is not rooted here. There is no question but reflects this one. There is no conflict that does not entail the single simple question, what am I? Now listen to the next line. This is beautiful. Yet who could ask this question except one who has refused to recognize himself? You couldn't ask the question, what am I, unless you refuse to recognize yourself, unless if you decided against your self-identity. That's how it is, really. That's the human condition. Only refusal to accept yourself could make the question seem to be sincere. It seems to be a sincere question, correct? Well, show me what I am. I don't know who I am. It seems to be very sincere, and yet really it's based on denying your own identity as a perfect Son of God. Because it says the only thing that can be surely known by any living thing is what? What it is, right? It's the only thing that can be known with certainty. He says, from this one point of certainty, right, knowing who you are, it looks on other things as certain as itself. What a beautiful idea, right? That you've maybe for a moment need to acknowledge, hey, I truly don't know what it is that I am. I made a self-identity of myself to kind of, avoid that question so that I can somehow make some self-identity that meets the world on equal purpose and equal goals. But the fact of the matter is, it's not what you are. It says, uncertainty about what you must be is self-deception on the scale so vast, its magnitude can hardly be conceived. You have no idea what you've done in that sense, right? To be alive and not to know yourself is to believe that you're really dead. Why? For what is life? Except to be yourself. That's what life is, to be yourself. And what but you can be alive instead, right? So it's an amazing idea, right? And it says, who is the doubter? What is it that he doubts? Whom does he question? None of it makes any sense, right? Because the doubter isn't real, what he doubts isn't real. And you finally come into the recognition that really it's senseless, right? It's an impossible condition. And yet here you are, you find yourself in the impossible condition. Now listen to this. He says, Atonement remedies the strange idea that it is possible to doubt yourself, because it is a strange idea, and be unsure of what you really are. This is the depth of madness, yet it is the universal question of the world. Right? That's what the world is. It reflects that question to you of not knowing who you are, right? What does this mean? Except the world is mad. Why share its madness in the sad belief that what is universal here is true? Now listen to the next line, one of my favorite lines of A Course in Miracles. Nothing the world believes is true. Nothing the world believes is true. You go like, well, some of it's got to be true. You got to understand that the world is a reflection of your thought system. It reflects your idea of separation, right? Therefore, it reflects everything that's not true to you. I don't know how else to say it. It reflects, there's only two thought systems, truth and falsity, right? The thought system of the world is false. It's just false. And therefore, everything it reflects back to you is false, and all its ideas are false. There is no meeting place between truth and falsity. There is no meeting place where those two thought systems meet. Therefore, nothing in the world believes is true. Now, listen to this. Love this. It is a place whose purpose is to be a home where those who claim they do not know themselves can come to question what it is they are. That's what this place is. This is a place where you can be at home, right? And question what it is that you are, or at least so you claim, right? Because you know perfectly well who you are. But you have denied that. So now here you are. He's not done yet. Listen to this. And they will come again until the time and moment is accepted, and they learn it is impossible to doubt yourself and not to be aware of what you are. Right? Again, that's the human condition. You go through life trying to solve the riddle of your own existence, not knowing what it is that you are, and yet all the time you know perfectly well who you are, and you just gotta stop simply denying what it is that you are. That's Atonement. That's the remedy to that impossible condition that you're in. It says only acceptance can be asked of you for what you are certain, right? What you are is beyond all that. So the only thing that you need to do is accept, right? I love it. I said, we have a mission here. We did not come to reinforce the madness that we once believed in. Like, you came here with a mission. You accepted the mission to, for a moment, get back in space-time, right? And lift the veil of ignorance, if you will, right? Forgetfulness, right? The decision to deny your own identity. Let us not forget the goal that we accepted. You accepted this. It is more than just our happiness alone we came to gain, right? You're just not sure. Happiness is an inevitable consequence of accepting who you are. But it's more than that. He says, what we accept as what we are proclaims what everyone must be along with us. Listen to the next line. Fail not your brothers or you fail yourself. It's not just your little idea of yourself that you came to rescue, because it transfers to your brother, right? You have responsibility, if you will, to yourself in a larger sense, because it is all you. Your brother is you. So you have a responsibility of waking up for you in your totality, not for your little idea of yourself. You're not trying to just make yourself happy. You cannot make yourself happy unless you make your brother happy, right? You cannot fail your brother because you'll fail yourself, because he is you, if that makes sense. And that's a singularity of awakening, right? That's the idea that there's only one of you, right? What an amazing idea. This does Atonement teach and demonstrates. The oneness of God's Son is unassailed by his beliefs. He knows not what he is. So what an amazing idea that your sole responsibility as a teacher of God, and maybe you'll go like, I'm not a teacher of God. I said, but you are, right? Because if you're watching this video, you must be waking up. Otherwise, you couldn't possibly be watching this video. And as you're waking up, you will assume, if you will, right? You will assume the responsibility of stepping into the, if you will, the teachership, so from student to disciple to teacher, of what it is that you are, because teach you will and teach you must. In that sense, you're teaching all the time. You cannot not. You're always teaching yourself what it is that you are. Having now undergone an awakening, right? Having entered in your process of spiritual transformation, you now assume, if you will, the responsibility of teaching this to your brother, right? Which is finally just teaching yourself. What we all discover, those of us who stepped into that teacher position, if you will, that you only teach yourself. You only teach yourself. You can only give to yourself. Giving and receiving is one. It's singular, right? There's nothing outside of you. So read this lesson if you have it moment today. This is lesson 139 in your workbook. I will accept the atonement for myself. Atonement being the idea that you're one with everything, one with source. You never were separate from it. And by accepting that, you'll accept yourself as you truly are. And through that, you'll remember. I love you. Wherever, whenever you are, have a great, great day. And I'll see you everywhere.